lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. They get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
After Watkins Glen, the drivers stepped up to tackle one of the most famous tracks in racing, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In the GS class, Kimmo Suominen started on the top spot, while Brian Strodbeck's return saw him complete the front row. There was a shakeup in ST, though, with Carl Williamson taking the pole away from James Stevenson, who began in second. The green flag flew, and the first incident of the day went to Stefan Oergaard, who lost multiple spots after contact with Josh Loitz. The theme for the day was set as ST traffic quickly became an issue. On lap 9, Strodbeck overtook Suominen and then immediately lost it when David Whamond spun in front of them. Later, Chris Moran and Matt Reinhold spun independently and scattered the GS leaders. Miraculously, no contact was made between anyone. Things settled down momentarily until the 30-minute mark when Ray Prado lost it while attempting to avoid, once again, David Whamond. The sad mess collected James Brown and German Afanador. Suddenly, an incident with championship ramifications unfolded as Rash found himself unable to avoid a moving target in the form of a spinning Marco Mogren. Forced to pit for repairs, Rash's damage sent him multiple laps down from the leaders. As the halfway mark approached, everyone began to wonder whether a caution would shake up the order. Wes Eric wound up as the instigator when he lost control while entering the backstretch and found himself taking a wild ride. The yellow was thrown, but Suominen and Williamson both retained their respective leads. However, Oergaard's damage from lap 1 put him on the back foot as he attempted to use the yellow to repair his blue and white machine. After numerous laps spent under caution, green returned with 26 minutes left on the clock. Todd Honzarenko came out swinging and tipped Kimmo out of the lead. Behind them, Steve Brown's aggressive move to the inside sent Travis Mim all the way to the back of the line. The very next lap, Patrick Bieri used the draft to get inside of Honzarenko and beautifully outbraked the number 9 Mustang to claim first. Todd ran out of track and spun, causing him to clip the rear of championship leader Suominen. Behind them in ST, Stevenson knew he lacked the pace for Carl and pounced on his opportunity when Williamson was held up in restart traffic. It only took a lap for the black and red machine to ease its way back into the lead. When Stevenson ran into lap traffic shortly after, his hopes of holding on to the Englishman were dashed. In GS, the clock ticked down and Strodbeck slowly reeled in his teammate Brown. The fighting was dicey but respectful. On the final lap, a mistake out of turn 7 allowed Brown pass to take home another second place. Ahead of them, Patrick Bieri finally made his consistency pay off and grabbed his first Conti win. The rookie solidified himself as a serious contender in the series. In ST, though the podium seemed a foregone conclusion, surprises were about to shake things up. With only 2 laps to go, Loitz lost it in 6, while Arthur Chan barely squeezed by. Jarrett Lawson was not so lucky and heavily damaged the Corona car of Loitz. Though he was an entire lap down, this handed third over to Chan, who finally seemed to be putting his ignominious nickname of Mr. Bad Luck to rest. Ahead of him, Stevenson consolidated second, and Williamson demolished the field in first. With the much unloved Indy infield circuit behind them, the teams are now looking to compete at Elkhart Lake, one of the gems in the American road racing crown. Known for its incredibly long straightaways and intense draft battles, it's sure to be a thriller as we get ready to watch the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series lay down the rubber at Road America. Welcome to Road America, home of Round 8 in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, and we're bringing it to you live on the global SimRacing channel. I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is the South African cum Australian Richard Losper. Welcome, Richard.
Hello, Joe. Hello, viewers. Glad to be here today. Looking forward to a great ST battle.
Also with us is our resident Mustang aficionado, Mr. Kevin Brown. Glad to have you here, Kevin.
Thanks, Joe. Looking forward to some great action at one of my favorite tracks.
And of course, behind the scenes is our tireless director, Giancarlo Lenzi, there to ensure you catch every bit of action on the track. And as Kevin mentioned, this is many people's favorite track here at Elkhart Lake. To tell us a little bit more about it, I'm going to hand over to Richard Losper.
Thank you, Joe. Well, this track is a 4-mile track, just over 4 miles, which is for the Europeans, that is 6.41 kilometers. We've got 14 official corners. There are 12 actual corners, but it's listed as being 14 turns. We've got ourselves a 90-minute race here, so plenty of time for everyone to do their thing. Kevin, this track, you know it very well. I know it. We all know it very well. It's a super high-speed track. One of the fastest turns on it, going down into the Canada corner, which is one of the, the great turns in motor racing. I think it's a great track to race on. I know not everybody loves it, but I certainly do. And we should see a lot of really fast and really good action here today.
I don't doubt it one bit. The way the draft battles play out around here, you're going to see a lot of guys getting into it. But more than just the battles on the track, we're interested in the championship battle. And it's heated up a little more than it used to be in the GS class. Kevin, what's it look like right now?
Well, coming off of his worst race of the season so far, Kimmo Suominen's overall lead is still at 25 points over Dan Rash, so that's not too bad. But Patrick Bieri's maiden win has allowed him to close up a little bit in the podium spot. He's sitting on 32.7 behind Dan Rash. And then fourth place, we have regular series long-stay German Fanador. And fifth is yet another rookie, Travis Mim, who is 68 back. But unfortunately, it sounds like he won't be able to race much for the rest of the season, so he's probably going to fall out. And how does ST look there, Richard?
Well, at the top of the leaderboard in the championship race is James Stevenson on 237 points. That's quite a big lead that he has over the second place, which is Stefan Overgaard, who has 186 points. So he's 51 points back. And that seems large, but if you remember that each race here has a maximum of around 55 points to be gained, it's not that large. If James has a really bad race, we could see Stefan getting much closer to him or perhaps even overtaking him. In third place, we have Joshua Loitz. He's 88 points back on 149 points. So the two Asbury Motorsport drivers are really up at the top of the leaderboard there. In fourth place, we have Tom Ecklein. He is also, in fact, he's on joint third place because both him and Joshua Lloyd are 88 points back. And then bringing up the fifth place, Joe, is Ed Voras on 144 points, minus 93. So that's your top 5 in ST, and we'll see how it pans out today and what changes will happen to that board.
Yes, this could definitely have some significant impact on the championship with the with the number of rounds really winding down. We're on round 8 out of 11, so we're getting towards the very end here. Well, we do have a lap guide to show you a little bit more in detail what it's like driving around this course, and that's driven by our very own Kevin Brown. So if we could pull that video up, we're going to give you an onboard view around this famous Elkhart Lake course. All right, getting ready to do a lap around Road America with Kevin Brown and the Mustang. Coming onto the front straightaway here, that final corner has a very important exit because as you can see this huge hill, you want to have as much momentum to carry up it as possible. Coming across the start-finish line. Now coming up to this first corner, it can be a passing zone. but it's relatively tricky because it's still a somewhat fast corner. You're going to brake right before those 3 cones, and then again carry momentum through. Be careful not to take grass on the exit, as it can spin you onto the inside wall there. Now coming up and braking for turn 3 here. This is another corner with an extremely important exit because it leads onto this long straightaway, the moraine sweep, that is going to be one of the best passing zones on this course. Now coming down here, there's a couple corners such as 3A and 4. They're kind of non-corners, they're just kind of bends here. Coming up to the final braking zone, just before that 2 marker, very hard, and turn it in. Now don't get too greedy on the curbs here on the exit, because if you get a little bit of grass, you'll get a 1X. Now coming over the crest here, your car's going to go light. It can be very easy to lock up the brakes. Again, carry your momentum around this left-hander of turn 6. Then just a little bit of a lift through 7, this fast kink that takes you into the hurry downs. Now this left-hander can also be another passing zone if you get a good run on someone. But regardless, it's going to dump you into the carousel here. So obviously you don't need to get too good of an exit, but you're going to play with the throttle. You're going to balance the car on the throttle around this corner. And obviously it takes a lot of patience. It takes a long time to get around here, but you want to get as much momentum as you can out of that corner as well. It's going to lead you onto the back straightaway. And again, very fast right-hander, just a little bit of a lift. The kink is known for taking many a good men out of a race. Down the kettle bottoms, up towards Canada Corner. Now this is going to be the other good passing opportunity that you're going to see on this lap. Brake very hard into this right-hander. And there's a lot of curb to take, but it's deceiving, because if you take too much, it just stops and you head into the grass. And then you can take this left-hander flat out if you're good, if you get the right entry. And that's going to take you into the final corner. Again, it's more important to get the exit right than the entry here. And hopefully, coming onto the front straightaway here, you got a good run on the guy in front of you, and you can attempt to make a pass into 1 as you come up the hill. But that's a lap around Road America. Great stuff from Kevin. Kevin, are you sure you don't have some NOS in that car or something to speed you up? Because I can't get laps like that in the Mustang around here.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, but it definitely helps to have a draft to help pull you along. It seems like you're always feel like you're doing well, and then somebody comes along with a draft assisted lap, and you're like, oh man.
It sounds like we're going to be seeing a lot of that today, especially more so in the ST class. And Richard, tell us a little bit about what the draft is like, because I understand it's not as significant as it used to be, but it sounds like it's still going to come into play today.
Oh, absolutely. On a track like this, there will always be someone drafting someone else and trying to gain advantage. And you'll find that certainly down the moraine sweep there, and definitely perhaps not so much, but still available to you on the main straight going up the hill. So that's going to play a part for sure. The other thing that will be interesting to see is how people handle this the new tire model. The ST class all have the new tire model, Joe, tire model version 5. And what that's done is briefly is that your tires are not instantly on, if you know what I mean. They take a little while to warm up. So your fastest laps are after sort of lap 3, 4, 5. You start to get into making your fastest laps. So it's pretty slippery as well in the opening couple of laps. So it's going to be interesting to see in the ST class who can handle their car early on in the race, because that's when people tend to be the most aggressive. But with this new tire model, you also need to be super careful in the early laps, Joe.
Something to watch out for. Meanwhile, on the Mustangs, what are the tires going to be like over the course of these 90 minutes, Kevin? Is it, what does it play like around this course?
Well, I probably sound like a broken record, but once again with the Mustang, it's super easy to kind of burn off the front tires from trying to be too aggressive with the high-speed turn-ins at this track. And again, it can be easy to kind of burn off the rears from trying to get on the throttle as quickly as you can to maximize those long straights. So again, the drivers that are smooth and conservative with their tires might see a little bit more of advantage towards the end of a stint than the guys that are quick to be aggressive and burn those tires up.
Yes, and what about since these cars are a little bit higher powered than the MX-5s, what kind of approach would you be taking to these corners? Because all I've ever heard from people is that this is a pretty straightforward track as far as the approach to how you're driving each corner.
Yeah, I guess so. It's kind of the consistent slow in, fast out, if you will, except that all the corners for the Mustang have a pretty high entry speed, and it can seem like you're threading the needle sometimes where, if you're just a little bit off your mark, maybe it's a little hard to turn in, especially if you've got a little bit of a draft, maybe you're going a couple miles an hour faster than you think you were. So, yeah, on paper, it's pretty easy, but to really go fast, especially in traffic, it can be pretty taxing and pretty difficult.
Now let's go over some of these more infamous corners around this track because there is some nuance to some of them, and some of them have earned a bit of a reputation, especially for causing some havoc. The kink is one that I think is feared by many. So I'd be curious to hear each of you guys' thoughts on this corner. I mean, what are drivers going to look out for, and what can we expect from the kink today?
Well, if you're asking me to go first, that's fine. The kink, I don't think the kink is one of the. It's dangerous in the sense that you have to line the car up exactly correctly turning into it. Otherwise, you will find yourself taking some of the grass on the track out, and that is very dangerous because the walls are not that far away. So drivers need to be really careful there. It's not really a place to overtake. It would be a very, very brave driver who would try and overtake there. So the King, just be careful around there with both cars. They both tend to get very, very understeery through there, and you got to watch the track out pretty much.
Yeah, Richard summed it up pretty well there for me. It's in the Mustang. I don't think it's too difficult. It's got a pretty wide entry, but that outside wall can get very close very quickly, and if you're not careful, you can hook it right back to the inside. So it's got high consequences if you do make a mistake, but there's not a whole lot of reason to push it real hard because you've got that long chance for a draft through the kettle bottoms into Canada corner where it's a much better passing attempt there.
And now one that I want to bring up is turn 5. And that one, we've seen so many tangles over the course of the CESCS history. It's very difficult to stay out of it because it just seems to invite people to pass. I mean, what do you think about this corner, Richard?
Well, you're exactly right there, Joe. This is the corner that, as you say, it invites people to pass. Coming down Moraine Sweep, you are going to have the draft working for you, and it is not unusual to see people going 2 or 3 wide coming down there, and then you've got to brake hard to get into the actual corner down at turn 5. So it's dangerous, particularly in the first couple of laps for ST especially. You will in the first couple of laps, obviously you're going to have the GS class out front. If any one of them makes a mistake going into that corner in the first couple of laps, the ST guys are still close enough to catch the problem that was created by the GS class. So it's a very difficult corner, particularly early on. If I were racing here, I'd be super careful down there because you do not want to ruin your race very early on.
Yeah, again, Richard kind of summed it up. It's a great place to overtake if you can get it done. It's also a great place to really kind of end your race and the race of the guys around you. So, as always, be careful, but do what you can, I guess.
Definitely. And it looks like they're just finishing up qualifying. We're going to let the drivers finish their hot laps, and then we'll go down the qualifying order for you guys. But another thing of note about this track is the cautions. Cautions are a part of this series, and they play a role in your strategy and how the race unfolds. And, Richard, I think it's going to take a patient man when a caution flag comes out around here.
Well, it's a very, very long track, over 4 miles, as we said. So a caution lap is going to take a long, long time to go around. And they do 3 or 4 caution laps. And then they've got wave arounds for those people who are down a lap. So cautions can be a very long, take up a lot of time as well, Joe. So, yeah, I hope we don't see a lot of those today.
No, I'm absolutely with you. We're hoping for an exciting race, but a green race most of all. And it looks like we've got just a few people finishing up. I'm double checking to see if any of those guys are out on the track still. I see Ayrton Ellis is still putting in a lap, possibly. Ray Prado seems to still be out on the track. We've got about a minute left before they're going to call them in, so I'm going to hold off just a little bit longer in case anything switches up there. Another story that I really want to talk about is the restarts. Restarts have been a bit of a point of contention in this series. It seems like people have gotten quite aggressive recently, and it's upped the ante on how good you are in traffic.
Yeah, that's right. In the GS class, which Kevin will talk about, you've got the 2 super fast guys, Kimo and Dan, up front there. And those guys are not known for their slow restarts. But today we have Carl Williamson, who has certainly come to grips with this track and has put in some really fast times. In fact, the fastest, as we will call in a minute. So behind him, you will have James and Stefan, or the other 2 fast guys. On a restart, look for these guys if they all bunched up to fiercely contend for that first place, Joe.
Absolutely. And everyone has now put their laps in. We've got the drivers lining up on the grid at the moment, so they're going to take that pace lap, which is going to take a while in itself, so we can take our time on this qualifying order. Starting in the GS class top 5, we have Kimo Suominen on pole yet again, so holding his usual spot, and once again besting Dan Rash, who starts on the outside of the first row. And he is only 2/10 off of Kimo, so it's still relatively close around here. Then we've got Todd Honzarenko beginning in third with a 2:29.8, only a tenth behind Rash. Going to keep him in check. Russell Clayson begins in fourth. Then in fifth on the inside of the third row, it's Steve Brown, Kevin.
In sixth is our defending race winner, Patrick Bieri. In seventh will be Antti Tuominen. And then eighth is German Fanador. Ninth, Nicholas Bailey on a 232.000. Love those zeros. 10th will be Ayrton Ellis, Joe.
Then in 11th, we've got Ray Prado with a 232.6. 12th will be Alexis Molina. 13th is Jeff Jacobs. 14th is James Brown. And then 15th, we have Reino Tani. And Jonathan Auger did not complete a lap. I'm double checking. Yes, he is on the grid. So starting 16th with no time scored is Jonathan Auger in last in the GS class. What's the top of the ST class looking like, Richard?
Well, at the top of the ST class qualifying, you have Carl Williamson. He has got a 2:39.484, which is a great time around here, specifically on this new time model. Behind him, James Stevenson, or next to him, I should say, on row 1 is James Stevenson. On the second row, you've got Stefan Overgaard with a 2:40.2. So these guys are not slow around here. Thomas Torp is in the 4th position next to Stefan. Then you've got Jared Lawson in the 5th place and Joshua Lloyds. Now, Jared has really put in a good time here, because I would not have expected him to be up there. Joshua Lloyds, as I said, in the 6th place. They are followed by William Randleman, Marco Mogren, whom we've seen a fair bit of recently. He's a good peddler. Matthew Reinald and Arthur Chan. Back to you, Joe.
Then starting 11th in ST class, it's Stefan Moriane. And 12th, it's Ed Varas. 13th is David Wammond. 14th is Tom Eckline. 15th is Philip Carpenter. And then 16th is Corey Fergus, with 17th Wes Eric rounding out the field. So, and for some reason, I'm actually seeing Ayrton Ellis behind the field. That's unusual because he qualified in the middle, he qualified fairly down the pack. What exactly happened, Kevin?
Joe, Ayrton Ellis and Stefan Morian were both given end-of-line penalties. I believe that was both for infractions during qualifying. And then also we have to take note, Carl Williamson, our pole sitter, is currently not on track.
Oh, dearie.
Well, we've seen this. We've seen this trick from Carl before, not intentionally, obviously. He has had problems, or something's happened that's caused him to relinquish the pole and actually start from the back of the field. And in fact, he's kind of known in this series for being able to work his way through. So we'll have to keep an eye and see if maybe he starts from the pits or what exactly is going on there. Well, they're coming down the hurry downs at the moment, so they still got about half a lap to go. That's how long it is around this course. Let's talk a bit about a few of the situations going on in the championship. Kevin, it seems like Rash is kind of making mistakes here and there, and it's really bitten him. He's not really up fighting as hard as he could be as far as points go with Suominen.
Yeah, if there's a crack in Dan Rash's armor, it seems to be that when he's got somebody challenging him for pure pace at a track, he tends to be more likely to make mistakes. And with the arrivals of our very fast rookies of Kimmo Suominen and Patrick Bierry and also Todd Honzarenko this season, Dan's really had to kind of step things up. And, it seems like that's really caused him some troubles as he's gotten into a lot of issues with other cars on track. And that's really kind of put a damper on his championship season. But, he's still super fast and he's still running pretty well. Only 25 points behind Kimmo. Anything can still happen with 3 races yet to go.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings, as they like to say. On the ST side, it's really kind of no contest so far. I mean, Richard, the worst race that Stevenson has had was when he had car problems. Everything else, he's been on the podium every single time.
Yeah, he is pretty much the consummate driver in that MX-5, that lovely AMS red and green and a little bit of white. But his challenger, and I note that somebody made a comment that it is like Overgaard is Webber to James Stevens' Vettel. But I'm looking for Stefan Overgaard to have a great race today. I believe if he can do it, this is the place where he will be able to do it. So let's go now. I believe they're going green.
Yes, the pace car has peeled in. They are waiting for the green flag from that flag stand. And it waves now, so the GS class takes off. Acceleration slowly picks up on this long straightaway, and it looks like Todd Honzarenko has a very good start. He's closing up very rapidly on Suominen, but he's got nowhere to go. Gives him a bit of a bump draft, and they're going to come into turn 1. This fast right-hander going to see if they can get through here clean. Looks like everything is so far is handled quite nicely. Everyone's being nicely patient. ST has got the green. Oh, we do have a couple cars off in the back. Jonathan Alger and James Brown. What's the ST start like, Richard?
Well, we have had a regulation start almost in ST with James Stevenson leading the way with Stefan Overgaard behind him as they go into turn 1 right now. No sign of Carl Williamson at this point. I'm not too sure where he is. Has he retired? I don't know. But at this point in time, pretty straightforward. We've got Thomas Torp in 3rd place, and he did start in 3rd place. So it's they're going down the moraine sweep for the first time. We do have a challenge by Jared Lawson on Thomas Torp. So let's keep an eye on this to see what happens at the bottom of this infamous corner that we all worry about at the bottom of the moraine sweep. Joe?
Yes, it looks like Josh Loitz might get into this, or at least take advantage of the slow exit these guys might have as they go side by side. Torp's got the inside in that silver car, and he's actually got a bad exit, as I mentioned. So Josh Loitz takes a look onto the inside, heading towards turn 6. And he's got it cleanly. Good, advantageous racing from Josh there.
And Joe, up at the front of GS, Dan Rash got a fantastic run down the moraine sweep and took took the overall lead approaching turn 5. Kimmo Suominen is right on his bumper, though, as they go through the kink, and he's been looking pretty aggressive. He tried to repass Dan a couple of times already, so he might be looking on the approach to Canada, but as they're coming up close to braking, I think he may be a little bit too far away, and yep, he stays in line, and looks like Dan Rash will probably retain the overall for the rest of this lap.
And a quick note, Patrick Bierry did have to start from the pit lane because he lost his connection towards the end of the pace lap. So he's got a lot of work to do for our winner from 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis. Looks like Kimo is fairly
And
maybe.
we have some trouble here, guys. We had Josh Lloyds making an overtaking maneuver on Jared Lawson into the kink, and we did say that is probably the bad place to pass, and it pushed poor old Jared Lawson wide, and he did hit the fence there, so he's got a damaged car right now, and everyone's passing him.
Not the way he wanted to start this race. I'm sure he might have some words with Josh, because like you said, that's really, especially on lap 1, that's not the place that you want to try to do it. But in the meantime, Josh has moved himself up into 3rd already after starting in what was 4th. So I guess he only gained 1 position, maybe, or I'm sorry, he started in 5th. So he gained 2 spots in 1 lap. Obviously on the move. Josh has been on pretty good form as of late, barring his 1 lap to go problem at the last race. It looks like Stevenson has got this race fairly under control, and now we see Ayrton Ellis actually zipping through these guys. So
battle for the overall lead. Sorry, Kimo Suominen has moved to the inside under braking for turn 5. Dan Rash goes really wide, and he's going to retain that as Kimo tucks back in on the exit. These guys are going at it so far.
Yeah, I noticed that Kimo was very far inside. He could have probably taken just a little bit more room, but he seemed to be playing it safe, maybe since it's only on lap 2 at this point, that he wants to kind of just not blow his load too early, so to speak. I do see that Russell Claeson's still holding on to 3rd quite well, with Todd Honzarenko behind him. I believe Todd started in 3rd, so he seems to have relinquished that position somewhere along the line. Honzarenko's one that we've seen make a couple podiums here or there, but hasn't really made good on the speed that he's shown in qualifying, Kevin.
Yeah, I think he's just had a little bad luck in the races that he's been able to join. It seems like if it weren't for that, he'd be right up front. He is absolutely one of the fastest Mustang drivers, so we expect him to be running up at the pointy end of the field, and he's doing that right now. Although he has Mr. Demon Breaker Russell Clayson in front of him, so it's going to be a tough task to get around Russell.
As is always the case. And we're watching the front of the GS field at the moment come around Canada corner as they really sling those cars through there. And it looks like everyone's kind of playing patient at the moment, although Honzarenko is closing up quite a bit on the back of Clayson. Not sure if he's going to attempt something. Clayson decides to go defensive into the final corner and then moves back to the line. So nothing doing there, although Honzarenko gets a much better exit, and he's held up as Clayson didn't get a good enough exit, and Honzarenko is way too close. This is going to give a chance to Steve Brown, Kevin.
Yeah, that's a good run for Steve. I'm not quite sure if he's got enough. Yep, he's going to look on the inside for the draft, so he's got quite a bit of straight left to do it. He should be able to do this no problem.
So a boon for Steve Brown as he slots himself up into 4th position, it looks like. Yeah, he's going to hold on to it, although we've got some blinking going on from Russell Clayson up in front of them, it looks like. So Russell possibly running into some problems there. For those not familiar, the iRacing, since this is all online, when you have connection problems, the iRacing service blinks your car in and out, and a disconnect is sort of the simulation racing equivalent of an electrical problem, something you can't really control. Your car is just basically out of it, and you have to either coast it back to the pits, get a tow, or you're simply out of the race. So hopefully Russell is not out this early, as we see Kimo take another look once again. Interesting that he keeps pulling that move. Kevin, do you think he's actually trying something, or is he just maybe trying to keep out of the way from Dan in case he slows too quickly on him?
Joe, I'm not really sure. I was looking at what I believe our viewers were watching on screen, and that was, oh goodness, Todd Honzarenko and Steve Brown going side by side into turn 5, while Russell Clayson was completely not on screen.
And there's contact.
Yep, and I think the drivers are just not really sure where Russell is right now, and maybe Russell got a little bit of damage between himself and Honzarenko in turn 5, as Honzarenko nearly goes into the sand trap on exit there. So this is backed up the field right now. You can see a whole gaggle of Mustangs behind Steve Brown, as I think drivers are just kind of wondering what the heck's going on.
Yes, Antti Tuominen currently has German Aventador all over him, and that is for the 6th and 7th spot. Meanwhile, behind them, it looks like Ray Preto is looking to try and take advantage of the situation as well. So they're all in a line coming towards the kink as Ray Preto closes up, and he goes a little bit wide. Is he going to be able to? Yes, he keeps it on the track. So this is going to allow Alexis Molina behind him actually to start to close up as they head towards Canada corner, Kevin.
Yeah, and this has allowed Dan Rash and Kimo Swaminen to just check out almost a 5.5 second lead right now. And wow, Todd Hunsarenko gets super loose into Canada, but pulls it back together, stays on track, and allows Russell Clayson to make up that little gap right there. So these guys are definitely pushing hard right now in these early laps.
So we've talked about GS for quite a while. Let's hop back to ST and see what exactly is going on in there. Richard, what can you report?
Well, I can tell you guys that Joshua Loitz is the big mover in this field at the moment. He has closed up the gap to himself and Stefan Overgaard very significantly. They are now heading down towards Canada Corner. The same thing did not happen with Stefan. Stefan closed the door going through the kink, so he was a bit far back anyway to make a move there, but he is right on the back of Stefan Overgaard, who's still trailing James Stevenson. The other big news is that Carl Williamson has not made an appearance at all. He did not start this race, so I guess he is completely out of the race. These three are the top three at the moment. They are being followed by sort of another little group with Thomas Torp and Marco Mogren, but these guys are fairly spaced out, Joe.
And there's a battle for 7th right now in GS between Ray Prado and German Afanadors. They're side-by-side under braking. And I see Russell Clayson get into the side of Steve Brown in Turn 5. That had to damage both those cars. And again stacked up the field behind these guys.
In fact, they almost go 3 wide as Ray Prado just sticks his nose in and avoids Antti Tuominen. But everybody seems to have stayed clean. Clayson might have some damage. His car looks a little wobbly. In fact, he definitely seems to have something wrong, and that holds up Tuominen, who has to relinquish his spot to that was Afanador. And now Ray Prado does make it 3 wide, coming into the hurry downs. They make contact. Tuominen holds onto it. Prado holds onto it. Everybody manages to get through. It looks like maybe things will sort themselves out eventually here as Clayson goes down a bit to Alexis Molina, who's going around the outside of the carousel. If he can pull it off, I think it's pretty much a done deal that Clayson needs to get that car repaired, Kevin.
I think Clayson's just trying to limp back to pit lane right now to get some repairs to the car, as it looks like he's trying to go side by side through the kink with Alexis Molina, and oh boy, that's scary.
Now we're getting another 3 wide situation, but no, it looks like Nicholas Bailey backs out of it. He's got Reino Tani beside him. They're coming down to Canada Corner, and Bailey backs out completely, deciding not to get messed up in this. Alexis is still side by side with Clayson, manages to just get by. I think he's got it done finally after going side by side for corner after corner, and Clayson just losing time hand over fist. He really, I agree with you. He's trying to just get this thing back to the pits. And maybe just hope for a caution so that he can make up some of that time. In the meantime, this has really pulled the back of the field altogether. Real quick side note, Ayrton Ellis is out of the car. He had an accident. Also, there was an accident with Wes Eric, and it looks like he's in the pits getting repairs as well. So a few people already suffering the damage of these close walls. But let's hop back up to the front of the field real quick. Oh, what do you got, Richard?
We've got Joshua Loitz making a move. He did for a moment pass Stefan Overgaard there as they go through Canada Corner. He's got the 2nd position. They both have their eyes on James Stevenson, who made a little mistake down at turn 7, and that brought these guys right on top of them. So the big mover still Joshua Loitz. He's got James Stevenson in his sights now. But do not discount Stefan Overgaard. I'm pretty sure he'll be kicking himself for relinquishing that position. Back to you, Joe.
I'm starting to wonder if Josh didn't have a good enough qualifying lap with him being in 5th, because he doesn't seem to be dropping off, although the draft could be keeping him up. But he seems to be holding fairly decent pace with these guys, Richard.
Absolutely, as we see Wes Eric with a damaged car coming into the pits by the looks of things. We see Russell Clayson in the pits as well. So, yeah, he's got good pace, Joshua Loitz, particularly at this track, obviously. And he's making up time on James Stevenson without a doubt. I just worry that these guys are going in very, very hot into those those corners at the end of these very fast straights, Joe. So I hope they just keep things together and we don't have any accidents down there.
Well, I'm seeing some complaints from Russell Clayson in the meantime on the radio. It looks like he was not happy with some of the incidents that happened during that last lap. but also getting word that William Randleman is blinking a bit from Stefan Mauriane, so a couple people having connection problems. But let's continue to watch this battle going on at the front of ST here, because Josh Lloyd, as you said, is definitely holding on quite well. Whatever he's doing, he's taking good advantage of the situation and really pressurizing James Stevenson. Perhaps maybe we'll see a race yet for this win in ST class, Richard.
Yeah, it's all good to have James Stevenson under a bit of pressure. James Stevenson, I believe, quite relishes pressure. He can handle it because he's so used to leading from the front. He has been challenged a few times, and normally he can rise to the occasion. What I'm interested in is whether Stefan Overgaard can rise to the occasion. Joshua Lloyd has passed him. Joshua Lloyd is particularly good through that very, very long straight going down to Canada Corner. That's where he seems to be making up a lot of the time, although, of course, the draft is helping him. So these three are the ones, without a doubt, Joe. Thomas Torp is a little way back. Mind you, Thomas is doing a fantastic job hanging on to the back of these three, so don't discount him as well. And then you have got Marco Mogren in 5th place, who's kind of just working his way forward. But it looks like he might have a little bit of damage possibly on his car. We'll see what happens. But James Stevenson, Stefan Overgaard, in fact, not Stefan Overgaard, Joshua Lloyd and Stefan Overgaard, your top three at this point in time.
Meanwhile, I am back in the GS class looking at the battle for 6th and 7th between Antti Tuominen and Ray Prado. These guys have been going at it pretty hard. They're very close on track. In fact, Ray's got a good run. He's looking for a pass into the hurried downs, but backs out of it. That's probably a smart move. That gives just a little bit of breathing space to Antti. So things are cooling out there just a little bit, but I expect this to get back into it in a moment once Ray collects himself. Just a real quick note, if you have any questions for us, send us a tweet at GSR channel, and we have a caution, as you mentioned. Let's see if we can figure out what exactly happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what happened there, but it seems to be one of the ST guys was involved there. We've got Wes Eric looking very damaged. Ed Voras is in the pits. He's
sorry. James Stevenson is pulling off into an exit escape road here. Something happened to him along the way. I'm trying to figure out. Looks like James Stevenson went wide at the carousel, spun his car, and then got hit by his teammate Stefan Overgaard. So he is, yeah, his car must be severely damaged for him to want to pull it off like that. Though it's very sportsmanlike of him to just tuck it away and try to get a tow. Although we're already on a caution, so he doesn't lose much at this point. Boy, things just turned around in a flash for the lead, because I have to imagine that Stefan Overgaard might have some damage, and Josh Loitz is overtaking first. Well, currently as they stand right now, I'm looking at Dan Rash leading overall in the ST with Kimmo Suominen in 2nd and Todd Hansareko in 3rd, while the ST is Josh Loitz in 1st, Stefan Overgaard in 2nd, and Thomas Torp in 3rd. We're going to go to break. We'll be back in a moment after we let this caution rule itself out, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake. We're currently under caution, and we are about 17 or 18 minutes into the race at the moment, or I'm sorry, about 20 minutes into the race. So we just got the caution flag thrown one more time, meaning that we are not going green this next time by. So we still got a little bit ways to go, which means we hopefully have a little bit of time to talk to James Stevenson, who we might be interviewing. We're going to check with him, make sure that he's okay with that, because I believe he wanted to hop back out on the track if he can, try to make some laps. But we'll possibly send Kevin or Richard over to see if he's up for that. In the meantime, as pit stops have not taken place yet, but a couple people have gone in for repairs or just topping off. Current standings: in first in GS is Dan Rash, Kimo Sawamanen is in second, and Todd Honzarenko is in third. Steve Brown brings up fourth, and then German Afanador rounds out the top five in the GS class. ST, it looks like Josh Loitz is in first, Thomas Torp is in second, Marco Mogren third, Arthur Chan is in fourth, and William Randleman rounds out the top five in the ST class. Now, I don't know if we want to try and pull James Stevenson. Have one of you guys popped in there yet? Oh, looks like we've got him in here. James, what exactly happened there? It looked like you had some problems exiting turn one.
Yeah, I just lost the rear end on the way into turn one, and I corrected, sort of got it going straight again, but I'd clipped the grass and then just spun in front of the other guys there, and they caught me and hit me, and lots of damage followed.
I see that you've got the car back out on the track and you're just trying to pull up to the tail end of the field. How do you feel your chances are on trying to get back into this, or do you think your car is too damaged to try and be competitive today?
Oh, the car's definitely too damaged to be competitive, but it seems like it might be just straight enough to putt around and get some points for finishing.
All right, well, best of luck on the rest of the race. Hopefully it goes a little bit better than these first few parts.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we never like to see that, obviously, but it's good to see James still trooping on and trying to make something of this race. Guys like that always get my admiration rather than just giving it up. So far we've seen a fair bit of action early on, guys. What are your thoughts of how the race has progressed so far, Kevin?
Well, it seems to be kind of what we thought might happen. The draft is going to play a big part, and guys are going to get mixed up. Hurt feelings are going to get a little bit hurt, and for some guys. But the guy I'm pretty pleased for right now is Todd Honzarenko. He was looking very fast in practice and qualifying, able to hang with Dan Rash and Kimo Sawamanen, and then that battle between himself and Steve Brown and Russell Clayson caused him to lose about 10 seconds on the leaders. So this yellow has helped pull him back up, and of course that's brought everybody else, Steve Brown, German Afanador, and the rest of the GS field. It's also allowed Patrick Bieri to get back on the same lap as the leaders, although he now has the entire ST field between himself and them. So this yellow has served a lot of GS drivers quite well.
Richard, what are your thoughts on what the ST is like? You're never one that is short on an opinion.
That is correct. And right now I'm having a bit of a giggle because Joshua Lloyd, who's now currently leading the ST class, is warming up his tires. He's still got a long way before they restart this race. So maybe a little premature in warming up the tires. My thoughts: bad luck, or in this case, unfortunate driving for James Stevenson. You lose it like that in a fast corner like turn one, and everybody piles into you. Not only have you ruined your own chances, but of course you've spoiled a few other people's races. So commiserations to James. From a a commentator's point of view, it spices things up once again, because now other lesser known or less fast drivers, shall we say, get an opportunity to close the gap in points in the championship. I'm a little disappointed also for certainly for Stefan Overgaard, because he was the meat in the sandwich there. He got caught. His car seems to look quite reasonable, so we'll see on the restart, Joe, if he has the goods to catch Joshua Lloyd. But at the moment, Joshua Lloyd certainly the man on a mission.
Yeah, he's not disappointed today, that's for sure. I was impressed even before he overtook first place from James, and that was more from James' bad luck than Josh's skill. Not to put down Josh's skill, but uh, yeah, he put himself in that position that he could take that up. So I believe we are going to go green this lap. Let me double check that real quick here. See if the lights are off on the pace car. Looks like they are. So we are going to go green this time. Next time by, as though we still have quite a bit of ways to go. Some other stories that we could talk about here is one of the things is Suominen. He had a very good first part of the season, Kevin, but it seems like the past maybe 3-4 races, it's started to fall apart for him. It's not really going his way as much as it was when he was really dominating in the first half.
Yeah, we saw Chemo have a lot of good luck, and everybody else has some bad luck at the beginning of the season. Now it seems like some of the bad luck has kind of come his way as well. Yeah, but Chemo's still a fast driver. All these guys at the pointy end of this field are fast drivers, and they're pushing each other and dealing with traffic, and mistakes happen. And I think they've all kind of had to deal with that, and that's why it takes 11 good races to win the championship.
Pretty much, you have to minimize as many mistakes in as many places as you can, I guess, so to say, to try and win championships. On the ST side, Richard, we keep talking about it, but Eckline and Varas, them being in the top 5, those guys are not particularly fast. Not to knock on them for that, but they keep showing up week after week, and I mean, they've managed just through sheer consistency, it seems, to work themselves up into a competitive position here.
Well, that's right. I mean, you've got to be in it to win it, they say. And these guys are not winning it, but they're certainly in it in the sense that they're in the championship, joint third place. These guys are doing a great job just circulating and making sure that they are there at the end and picking up points. That's the main thing. I've been just having a look at the fastest times of some of these guys now. I do notice that both James Stevenson and Stefan Morien were actually the two fastest guys on the track, with Joshua Lloyd's not that far behind, 2/10 slower on his fastest lap. So there's not a lot between them. So it's going to be a tough ask for Stefan Overgaard to catch up to Lloyd's once they get going on this restart. But if his car is okay, and it seems to look okay from the rear at least, he is in with a chance still there, Joe.
Yep, and it looks like we're getting ready to go to green as the pace car is heading towards pit lane here. Yep, he peels off. Dan Rash is going to lead them back. Let's see what he can do on the restart with Chemo behind him. And it looks like a few of the cars behind him are just getting backed up as Dan sets the pace. The green flag waves, and away they go. Chemo has a fairly decent start. Tahan Zarenko does not, as Steve Brown starts to pull up on the inside already, and they've got German Afanador behind them, kind of pulling up, but he starts to back out of it. Chemo takes a peek on the inside of Rash, but backs out of it. Steve Brown also doesn't quite get deep enough on the brakes, and Hans Zarenko just edges in front of him around turn 1. What's the ST class looking like back there, Richard?
Well, these guys have taken off basically single file at this point, with Joshua Lloyd's leading them away. Thomas Torp right behind him, as you would expect on this first lap of the restart. But Marco Mogren has pulled onto the back of these two now as well. So these two will be battling. And looky, Arthur Chan in 4th place, sitting on the back of these guys. So let's see what happens, but we'll see. Arthur Chan has a great chance here to do well in this race now.
Meanwhile, back up at GS, I was going to say it's very clean, but then it looks like Russell Clayson just went a little wide on the exit of 5 and lost a number of positions as James Alec Brown is on the inside coming into 6th and gets on by him. So he's got work to do. Obviously, got that car repaired and is back out trying to get positions back. But
guys,
otherwise,
we have a near spin. Joshua Lloyd went really, really wide, and now he's lost his first place. He's in 3rd place at the moment with Arthur Chan challenging him. So it happened just down in turn 5.
Yeah, and he gave Arthur Chan quite a scare as he dove across to try and take the inside at the last second, and Arthur had to really get out of it coming towards 6. It looks like there's actually a bit of a challenge for the lead as Mogren is very close to the back bumper of Thomas Torp. So as they come around the carousel, Richard, it's really hotted up at the front, and we really can't tell who's going to be leading from lap to lap anymore, it seems like.
Well, we're in the draft now. Mogren kind of goes pretty slow around the carousel there, but now they go down this, like heading into the kink right now. Thomas Torp has got a good slingshot into the kink. No, he's going to shake off Mogren there. Mogren's not close enough to make any moves in that. Joshua Lloyd's coming back now at Mogren, so let's see what happens as they go into Canada corner. One would think that he would back off going into this corner. He does. But he's right on the back of Mogren right now. They come out of Canada. They take that little right-hand king and then the left-hander. And the yellow flag is out, Joe.
That was Philip Carpenter coming through the kink. He had, what exactly happened here? Oh, no, it was James Stevenson.
Let's see.
It's James Stevenson who spun in front of them or something. I'm trying to figure out what exactly.
Dear, oh dear. Bunch of very damaged cars here. James Stevenson bringing up the rear of this bunch, and then you got Matthew Reinl and somebody into the wall right there. Wes Eric into the wall on the pace lap. So not a good day for him. His car can't be handling very well. So back to the pits for Wes now. It's terrible at this point. I would park it because it's crabbing around at this point now, Joe.
So I finally pieced together what exactly happened. Corey Fergus got a little sideways coming around the kink, just clipped James Stevenson. Stevenson was stuck in the middle of the track, had nowhere to go. Cars were trying to avoid him and just getting into each other, and it looks like a number of people really took damage from that, either sliding around into each other or into the walls. I see Wes Eric is into it. Let's see, looks like Stefan Morian. Matthew Reinhold was involved in that.
James Stevenson still out there circulating. He's probably going to pick up a few positions because of that, but his car does not look good as a bunch of these guys go into the pits now. So not a good race for a lot of the ST guys, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the pits right now, and it looks like Philip Carpenter is in there and Corey Fergus is in there. So a couple guys taking care of their damage. And let's see, who else actually? We've got Wes Eric in there. So, yeah.
Well, that takes out a whole bunch of them. So if we go back to the front of the field now, Thomas Torp is our leader. Marco Mogren behind him while they're doing some pace laps. And Joshua Lloyd's in third place. These guys will bunch up, obviously, as we go to the restart in a few laps' time.
Absolutely. Well, we kind of didn't get much chance to see what was going on with the GS class with all the chaos going on with ST. Kevin, is there anything significant that happened with that?
No, the guys were all pretty clean. Todd Honzarenko had a real come-to-Jesus moment under braking for Canada when he kind of got caught out by Kimo Suominen a little bit and nearly collected him. But everybody's clean. Only things to note, Patrick Bieri is now up to 12th, so this yellow has once again helped him out, get him a little bit closer back to the field. Although Alexis Molina appears to have some pretty significant damage to his rear end. I'm not really sure where he got that, maybe from some contact with Renault Tanni, it sounds like.
Well, we might want to hop off to a little short 3-minute break here. I'm going to check with our director, see, because we still have the pace car yet to come out. All right, we're going to go to break in a minute as the pace car now pulls out. On the radio, I'm hearing some discussion between drivers and whatnot about language. So it sounds like a few people have gotten a little hot under the collar, and words are flying that we couldn't broadcast to you on air. Thankfully, you can't hear the radios over this, but they're now picking up the pace car and heading on around. So we're going to head off to break, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Road America. We're still under yellow, second yellow of the day so far, Richard. So hopefully this will be the last that we see of it. And a few cars have gone in for pits. I see a few more actually heading in now, which is kind of unusual. I know Kimo Suominen, Steve Brown, a few other guys went into pits, and now Dan Rash is heading in this second time by. Usually we see everyone head in there. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Todd Hanzarenko is in. It looks like Russell Clayson is also in his pit stall, so not sure if they just forgot or what. It looks like maybe only 3 GS cars have suddenly decided to take their stop. We are currently at about, let's see, we are about 45 minutes into the race, so we're exactly at the halfway point, Richard. It's started to slow down. It seems like things have gotten a little chaotic. Boy, that wreck on the back stretch on the kink took out a lot of the ST class.
We do have quite a big problem at the moment. We've got the pace car with the lights out, so this means there should be a restart after this. At the head of the GS class, it's now Ray Prado and Reino Tani. My screen is still showing a couple of the ST guys mixed in with that, but that can't be right. No, it is right. You got William Randleman in there, and David Wammond in there as well. So I'm not quite sure what's going on now with the organization, because normally you would have all the GS class up front followed by ST, but right now they're all mixed in. Not quite sure who's leading. We'll have to wait until the laps wind down, at least one more lap before we know, Joe.
And it looks like I see Kimo Suominen starting to go by some of the ST cars. I think they've finally given them the end of line. I think they didn't expect this weird pit stop strategy from some of the other guys, unless they're just trying to get fresher tires or didn't think they could make it on fuel or something here.
I believe, Joe, they've thrown another caution flag, so it's going to be another lap around. And I think those guys that went into the pits probably knew that would happen, so they made a good choice to go in, which means, you know, what they've done is they've eked out their fuel to the very last second, now gone in, made a change, because you got easily enough time to do a complete pit stop, even have some damage repaired, with the length of time it takes for the pace car to get around.
Yeah, and it seems like they're going to have them in order in time from what I see, so they might actually just go green this time by. The only concern I have with this sort of strategic move that we just saw is that now you've got Dan Rash and Hanzarenko with a lot of track position to try and make up. And it's not, obviously, this. If you wanted it at any track, this is going to be the one to do it, because there's plenty of passing opportunities. But I don't know. I mean, Richard, would you try and employ something like that? Would you give up the track position in the hopes of maybe eking out just a little bit more on your tires?
Well, I wouldn't. I think it's a bad move myself, just like you do. But these guys, they know what they're doing, obviously, and they've made those choices. Maybe they had no choice. You know, it was time to pit. They were running out of fuel, or some other little issue, and they thought, well, we better pit now in case there are no more yellow flags for us to do it on. So each one has made their choice, and we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. I just want to see what the actual, as we see the pace car pulling in, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Back to you, Joe.
I think they're going green this time by. We're waiting for the green to come out, and it does now. So Ray Prado leads them away. I think this is a first for him on leading a lap. He's got Reino Tani behind him, who usually also isn't so far up front. And they've got the hot shoe of Kimo Suominen quickly charging up the back of these cars. So he is probably going to make short work of these guys, if I'm honest, as they come through turn 1. Nothing doing there at the moment. What's ST start looking like, Richard?
Well, there's similar things happening in ST. We've got William Randleman leading them away, going into turn 1 now, and behind him David Wammond, which is unusual, dare I say, without being rude to David, but he's now in second place. And guess what? Stefan Overgaard is in third place at this point in time, so I expect him to make fairly short work of David Wammond, and he can take the opportunity to hunt down William Randleman right now.
Well, Kimmo Suominen has slotted himself up into second as German Fanador really outbraked Alexis Molina, almost came into the back of Reino Tani, but moved himself up into fourth. So Suominen is now in second. Current top five in the GS classes: Ray Prado, Reino Tani, Kimmo Suominen, German Fanador, and Alexis Molina. So they're starting to sort themselves out, and it looks like everybody's kind of just filing into line, although Jonathan Augert is taking a look at Alexis Molina at the moment, and they're just kind of filing through the hurry down. Stan Rash obviously at the back of that pack trying to make his way through. So let's hop back to the ST class.
Oh, we have an accident. I kind of hoped this would not happen. Stefan Overgaard and Joshua Lloyds. Joshua Lloyds tried what I can only think was not the best overtaking maneuver there, and he's got into Stefan Overgaard, who's got a lot of damage yet again on his car. Joshua Lloyds will have some damage as well. This has not been a good race for these guys, Joe.
And I'm watching that right now on the replay, and it looks like someone, Thomas Torp was caught up in that as well. In fact, I think he got the worst of the damage with a really hard lick onto the wall in the hurry downs. So his race is definitely compromised, but it seems like they're staying green, so we're still going at it. I'm looking back up to the front, and it looks like Ray Prado still has the lead. So he's
oh my goodness me, 3 wide going down after the kink, going down towards the Canada corner. It's just crazy stuff at the moment. Have these guys lost their minds?
Meanwhile, there is a lead change up at the front of the GS class. Ray Prado is being overtaken by Kimmo Suominen, who should probably have him quite cleanly into turn one. They're side by side right now, heading past the pit exit up towards the braking zone, and there he goes up, slipping on the inside. So Suominen takes over first. Once again, Rash nowhere to be seen to keep him in check, so he could start to romp away with this thing unless Ray Prado somehow finds some pace. German Fanador has worked himself up into third as well, so he is starting to push his way forward, and Alexis Molina still behind them. And actually, I'm looking back, and Dan Rash is already into seventh, so he's made very short work of that pack that he was trying to get through. In fact, I think he must have gotten 3 or 4 cars on that lap alone. So good progress from Dan Rash. As I look behind him, and actually there's a pass going on between Antti Tuominen and Reino Tani. That is for 5th and 6th at the moment, as Tuominen outbreaks him into 5. Another battle going on between them, behind them for Auger and Steve Brown. So I'm sorry, there's a lot to keep track of at the moment on this restart. I'm going to hand back to Richard on the ST class.
Yeah, well, Joshua Lloyds, I was watching, he's entered the pits after that move, that unfortunate move. William Randleman is now our leader of this ST class. Marco Mogren in second place, but a little way back. Arthur Chan has, by default, inherited third place. His car looks really straight and good still. So I'm thinking now Arthur Chan has got a good chance at this race. Jarrett Lawson is in 4th place. David Whammon, who was basically given the hurry up by everybody, and then he didn't hurry up and got overtaken. Stefan Overgaard, very damaged car, poor guy. Tom Ecklein, in 3rd place in the championship. Car still looking good. All he's got to do is keep it that way, and he's going to make some good points out of this race yet again. The other thing is, Joe, James Stevenson still circulating there and going at a reasonable pace. So who knows? Anything can still happen here. We've still got a lot of minutes to go.
Yes, definitely quite a few. And William Randleman seems to be making good on his lead that he's inherited here, because he's got a fair gap back to Mogren, who's still got Arthur Chan chasing him down. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, Richard, is for our viewers who are not as familiar with racing, a restart can be a hectic time. I mean, tell us a little bit about what goes on inside of a driver's head during a... Go ahead.
We were 3 wide on the main straight between Patrick Bieri, Jonathan Auger, and Russell Clayson, but they've all got back in line. Patrick Bieri takes that lead into turn 1, and he gets tapped by Jonathan Auger. He's got off into the gravel trap.
So Bieri is trying to keep it out of the barrier, and it looks like he is able to get it slowed down in the gravel trap and is back on a track. He's not been having a race.
Going down to turn 2.
And it looks like Russell Clayson got tapped by somebody. I'm not sure. Maybe that was Steve Brown or Reino Tani, and Jonathan Auger spins into turn 2 as well.
And oh, yeah, I thought he was going to go back on track for a moment there, but he manages to get it stopped before everybody goes by, and he can get his car collected. Oof, this is not settled down whatsoever. In fact, this restart has really reinvigorated the race. It's amazing we've managed to avoid yellows so far, knocking on that wood so I don't bring anything out. But I see Russell Clayson is right close to Steve Brown, and these two have a bit of a history, Kevin.
Yes, they do. It's been going on for the better part of a season now, and it kind of hotted up a couple of rounds ago. And they're not the best of friends right now, and they're probably not going to treat each other with velvet gloves right now. So we could see some fireworks, but it would behoove both of them to kind of run smart so that they don't wreck out.
Yeah, I mean, we are only at 35 minutes into this thing at the moment, so there's still a fair bit of ways to go. I mean, we're not even completely out of the pit window at the moment, if we're talking honestly. So they've got some laps to run and trying to be patient for. I was seems like things might have slowed down a little bit at the moment. Maybe I've just cursed ourselves yet again. But my question, Richard, and Kevin maybe can chime in on this too, but what are some of the things that drivers have to keep track of in this hectic restart phase?
Well, on a restart, this is a single file restart. Correct me if I'm wrong here. So it's not really as bad, but when you have restarts, particularly on a road course, that first corner is always going to loom up, just the same issue that you have when you actually start a race. So on a restart, it's like running the beginning of the race all over again. Everybody has the adrenaline pumping, and the testosterone, if they're male, is flowing big time in everybody's veins. So it's a very it's a time when you're on hot alert to see if you can make up a position or get into a position to pass somebody or something like that. Very tough on the roadside. Very tough even on any type of racing, Joe.
Well, I'm looking back at the front of GS just momentarily, and I see Dan Rash has worked his way into third, and he's only 5 seconds back from Kimo. I'm not sure if he's been making progress. We'll have to check the lap times, actually. Last time by, Dan was a 2:31, and Kimo was a 2:30.3. So Kimo is actually slowly pulling away, but Dan is not entirely out of it, especially if we have another caution. He's back up into the mix, Kevin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. But there's an Alexis Molina and Antti Tuominen going side by side in turn 5. Molina on the outside. He's going to have the outside line into turn 6 if Antti Tuominen doesn't give it up. No, they're going to go side by side under braking. Antti's got the inside, gets a little loose. Alexis goes out onto the curbing. And now Alexis is going to have the preferred line for turn 7. And yep, there they go, tucked back into line for this. So still, and then Alexis Molina gets loose on the exit. Maybe allow Antti. Nope, that's not going to happen. So everybody's still fighting hard here.
Yeah, well, Richard was talking about adrenaline. I imagine it had to have been going there. But I think this just accentuates what we saw from those two, the importance of smooth driving. You saw as soon as a driver got a bobble, they seemed to be very compromised in these Mustangs, Kevin.
Yeah, you really need to be able to focus on getting a good launch out. And, these guys are driving so fast, so hard, and they're so close to pitching the back end out on every corner that there's not a whole lot left for them to make room for them to make mistakes. And when they do make that little mistake, it's enough to really kind of lose control of the car, lose a lot of speed, and then that just really hurts you on the big, long straight that no doubt is following that corner.
Meanwhile, Dan Rash just made it past Ray Prado through Canada Corner, so Dan Rash is up into second place now, another position gained. All that's between Kimo Suominen and Dan is a bunch of air at the moment, so Dan's just got to push that air out of the way and get himself up there to fight for that win. Meanwhile, let's hop back to ST, see how things are going back there. William Randleman continues to lead by a fair gap ahead of Marco Mogren, who has worked his own gap away to Arthur Chan. So that seems to have slowed down a little bit as far as that battle goes. Richard, can you see any hot fights going on in the ST class?
Well, I just want to make a quick comment on Arthur Chan there. Arthur was right on the back of Marco Mogren, but then along came Todd Honsarenko in a hurry and wanting to pass, and that's the reason why he dropped back. I predict he will be on the back of Marco Mogren very, very shortly once again, because he seemed to have a bit more speed. Behind them, it's pretty much damaged cars. David Wamond is the only car that I can see that is whole and doesn't look as if it's got damage. You got Tom Eckline as well. So these guys, once again, are just quietly doing their thing. James Stevenson still circulating, but they're all pretty much single file at the moment, Joe.
Yeah, in fact, I see that James has worked himself up into 8th place, so good on him. I am currently on the battle between Antti Tuominen and Alexis Molina, which is still going on. And that is currently for 5th and 6th between these two guys. You see Antti in that blue and white car and Alexis in that really nifty little green, black, and white paint scheme. So it looks like Antti's pulled a little bit of a gap, but once again, Alexis closes under braking coming down into the hurry downs. In fact, he really closes up through there, Kevin.
Yeah, Alexis has been super under braking compared to Antti for the last couple laps, so he's really trying to take advantage of that, but keeps kind of getting dropped a little bit on the big straights. Another update real quick, Ray Pareto and German Afanador. Ray Pareto lost that position after he got big time loose coming out of, I believe it was turn 3, and that allowed German Afanador to drive right by him. Also, it looks like Russell Clayson had a big moment there briefly out of the carousel, so these guys are pushing hard and making mistakes.
In fact, I was just looking at Ray and German, and they're not too far up the road from Alexis and Antti. So if they work together, there could be another few more positions for them, possibly in the cards. And it looks like Ray Pareto actually hasn't given up the ghost completely. He's still fairly close on the back of German Afanador's car, Kevin.
Yeah, Ray Pareto has kind of surprised me. Ray Pareto has kind of surprised me a little bit, running as well as he has right now. So, we're, I think, a little more accustomed to seeing him further down the field, but he's having a pretty decent run so far.
Yeah, making good on that opportunity. So it's good to see him maybe thrive under the pressure, so to speak, as he uses the draft to start to close in on German coming towards turn 1. Don't think he's going to be close enough, though. He takes a look, and that'll take a wild dive to try and get inside. No, he's just letting German know that he is there, it looks like. So around turn 1, they go back into the same positions as they were before. Meanwhile, Tuominen still has Molina fairly close behind him as well, coming towards turn 3. And this battle continues to go on, but it doesn't look like anything's really going on there at the moment. So, Kevin, you'll have to keep us updated. Let's hop back to ST, see what's going on over there. Richard, what's the news?
Okay, well, a couple of interesting things happening here. William Randleman is leading, but Marco Mogren has been catching him hand over fist. So he's made up a lot of time on William Randleman. I thought that Arthur Chen would be the one making the moves, but not so. It's Marco at the moment. The other interesting thing is I've been checking some times here. James Stevenson, he's got Tom Eckline and David Wamond in front of him. Now, I was looking at their last times by the line, and James did a 2:42 and change, and these guys were around 2:46 or so. If he continues to lap at that pace and the others continue to lap at their pace, with 4 seconds a lap, he's going to get them easily before the end of this race, and that will move him into around about 5th or 6th position, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, if it gives you any idea, James just ran a 2:41.7. William Randleman also ran a 2:41.7, although he's being caught by about half a second a lap by Mogren behind him. So, I mean, essentially, James is running the leader's pace here.
Absolutely. And this is with a car that that looks like it belongs in a scrapyard, but doing a great job. And I think he's got a bit of a sniff, Joe, that all is not lost. At least he can, he might even get on the podium. Who knows? I mean, he is a terrific driver, James Stevenson. He'll certainly catch, I'm pretty sure, I shouldn't say this, but I'm pretty sure he will catch Tom Eckline and David Wamond. He's got him in sight already. So out front, William Randleman is still out there. He's got Joshua Lloyds in front of him, but Joshua Lloyds is completely out of sequence. He's way back, I would believe. Marco Mogren right on the back of him as they go through the carousel and approaching the kink now. It's going to be not too much longer before he gets right up there. And Marco is a pretty aggressive driver, so I'm looking forward to this bit. William Randleman is aggressive as well as they both pass Joshua Lloyds. Back to you, Joe.
I'm looking back a little farther down. Somewhere along the line, Stefan Overgaard managed to get by Jarrett Lawson in the last lap. So he's moved himself up into fourth. Stefan Overgaard also trying to make good on a race that seemed to be ruined at one point. And it doesn't even look like Lawson is able to hang with him because he's starting to lose time. That's even down the straightaway. So
well, keep your eyes on the leaders of ST. Yeah, Marco Mogren and William Randleman. The battle is on as they round the final turn and head up the front straight again, Joe.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to get...
no battle.
What happened there? Did I guess
now
Randleman
what
has
happened
yet to do
is
his pit.
William Randleman went into the pits. He must not have pitted before.
Oh man, a huge strategy error possibly from William, unless he was just banking on maybe getting some bonus points there, Richard.
Maybe so. He was laps led points, but pretty silly if you ask me to have to pit under green now, Joe.
Well, this is good for Mogren, who's had fairly decent speed for most of the season. He doesn't even really have Arthur Chan to threaten him at this point, so I think he's fairly safe, barring any major mistakes or even another caution. Mogren's just got to ride this one out for the following 24 or so minutes that are left on the clock. I think, honestly, it might be just about time, because he's been up there for most of this season, Richard, just never really been able to put it together.
Yeah, and bear in mind, he's a rookie in this series, so he's doing a fantastic job, Marco. He's also not been that long with iRacing, so even more fantastic that he's got up to speed in this little MX-5, and he's doing a great job at this moment. Good on you. Good on you, Marco. Arthur Chan is pretty much a veteran of the CESCS. He can't make an impression on Marco at this point. So he's lost that opportunity. William Randleman's back out there and circulating again, so I guess he is still in it as well. And James Stevenson slowly but surely catching up to Tom Eckline in front of him.
I heard word that Mogren went off. What exactly? I'm checking on him right now. What happened? Oh, he is definitely slow. Arthur Chan is going by him at the moment. It looks like Mogren lost it on the exit of the Hurry Downs and just tapped the tire wall. So Arthur Chan now inherits the lead, as he's still got Mogren close behind him coming out of the carousel. So it's not completely over, it looks like, Richard.
No, Joe, it's quite amazing to me. These guys in ST now, bear in mind, these guys have the new tire model. Obviously, there have been suggestions that the car is more difficult to control. And it seems like that's correct, because we've seen virtually every driver have a moment, even the great James Stevenson. So these guys are still getting familiarized with the new tire model here. And I guess that's what's causing all these bobbles and sometimes spins and crashes, Joe.
Definitely. And, with Arthur in the front, it just brings me back to the nickname that I'm sure he hates us bring up, but he's known as Mr. Bad Luck on this channel.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
But, okay, I'm sorry. I promise I won't mention it again. But it seems like it's turning around somewhat, because in quite a few of the most recent races, things have swung his way more than it has others, and he's really been taking good advantage of some situations.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that William Randleman, even with that pit stop, must have been a very, very quick pit stop, because he is in 1, 2, 3. He's in 5th place, so he lost a bit of time. James Stevenson up to 7th place, so he's past David Whamman. David must have pitted or made an error as I put the mockers onto Joshua Lloyd's. He spins his car once again. Very horrible day for poor old Joshua. James Stevenson now up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place, Joe.
Wow, so he might even see himself in the top 5 before this thing is over. He's got Tom Eckline a little ways up the road, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to reel him in within the last 20 minutes of this race here. So things are still all hot up in the ST class. In fact, Arthur Chan is now under threat from Mogren, who is heading towards turn 6. Mogren's got the inside as they break for the corner. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? They're going side by side. Arthur tries to hold on. They're going to head side by side into the kink before the Hurry Downs. This is not advisable, as we've seen from Josh Lois. They're still side by side. They managed to hold on to it, but Mogren got a better exit, and he just slips in front of Arthur Chan, Richard.
Yeah, Mogren had the better position for each of those corners. We had Arthur on the extreme inside, so he had to make that corner a very, very short one, and he was not able to do it. You have to slow down to do that sort of thing. But the battle is definitely on, and it's a good thing because he's in the draft now behind Marco, and we should see him hopefully hang with Marco and make some passing maneuvers either at the end, just before Canada, at the end of this this long straight, or at the end of the front straight, Joe.
Yeah, it seems like Arthur's somewhat holding on here. The draft doesn't seem to be helping him quite enough. He's still got a few car lengths between those two cars. Now, one thing I find interesting, Richard, about Arthur's driving style, or him as a driver, really, he definitely has the speed. I mean, he's won a race in Blondies. He's usually up there in terms of speed, except for barring some of the recent Blondies races, I suppose. But yet, he's one of the most polite guys you've ever met, very soft-spoken. You wouldn't guess by his speed that he's just this, really understated guy.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. We've spoken to him a number of times. Now he's got some draft, Joe. He's expect him to pull alongside as we see Marco going a little bit defensive. Not that much. Now he pulls out to the inside. Will he get it done here, Joe? I think he may well have it. Marco has surely got to back down. Marco does not back down, and they go in virtually side by side. Marco's pushed a bit wide, so he'll lose out from that. He's coming back again. These guys are battling hard. Go Arthur is what I'm saying at this point in time, because it is highly time that Arthur had a bit of good luck. But now they're heading down the moraine sweep, another area of draft. So expect Marco to come back. The battle is on you, Joe.
Yeah, and it's not over in the least as Marco now hits the outside coming down the moraine sweep. They're going to go side by side once again, and it's going to be another braking contest. And it looks like, Arthur Chan actually decides to back out of it. Maybe he's
good thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe he's thinking there's a little too much race to go to be fighting this hard, because behind them they've got Stefan Oergaard, who started in 3rd overall in the ST class. He's no slouch, so he could easily catch them up if they keep battling too much. I mean, if I was Arthur, I'd think maybe hold on behind Marco for a little bit, wait till the last 2 laps, then start duking it out. But
yeah,
let's actually hop on board with Arthur, since it seems things have slowed down just a little bit, and see what it's like from inside his car as he continues to follow Marco. We're going around the carousel right now, and you'll really start to see this draft probably pull him in coming down this long straightaway, Richard.
Yes, that is correct. They head up towards the kink here. This corner can be quite scary if you don't line it up correctly. The fence on the outside is is your friend. So watch how he now gets the draft. The draft only really kicks in this last part of the straightaway, which is not all that straight, by the way, Joe. And he has to back down there. The thing is, I think the corner that he will try on is at the end of the front straight. That is where he did it before, and where he seems confident that he can pull it off. He's also seen that Marco won't back down once he's he made the pass, but the pass is not done and dusted. So Marco comes back at him and he says, whoa, maybe I better not push too hard in case there's an accident. So let's see what happens now as he starts to close up once again on this front straight. Marco goes left, extremely left. Has he got enough to get there? Let's see what happens, Joe.
Meanwhile, just a side note, Russell Clayson has managed to get by Antti Tuominen for 4th in GS class. I have to imagine that he might want to put Duncan on the side of his car, because he's been a yo-yo this race, going back and forth, back up to this ST battle for the lead. Yeah, it looks like Arthur's just starting to run a little bit of a smarter race, kind of waiting for the right moment to pounce.
Yeah, he had an opportunity to force the issue right there into turn 1. He backed out of it. He visibly braked harder and let Marco go. So he's sizing him up. Arthur is a very clever driver. I do believe he's not one of these lead foot guys that just put their foot down and hope for the best. He's gonna try and figure out what he can do to pass Marco at the right time. And if he does pull it off, and I think he may well do that. We'll have to wait and see, because sometimes a hard charger like Marco, just by the very fact that they charge hard all the time, they do win races. So we'll see what happens, Joe.
And right now, you've been seeing some great action on screen between Alexis Molina and Patrick Bieri. They're side by side through the kink, and then nice pass as Bieri goes defensive in turn one, trying to use the ST car William Randleman as a pick. And it looks like he got that a little successfully. I don't know that broke Alexis Molina, but Bieri's been moving well, and he's been having a good run against Molina right now. As Molina's going to look to get a good exit out of this turn here and get that nice run down under the Marine sweep. Maybe have a chance back under braking.
Patrick's another one this race, Kevin, who's really just been up and down and all over the place. And definitely, I wouldn't say it's because of his own doing. We saw him get tipped off earlier on in the race and obviously connection problems. When stuff like that happens as a driver, what do you do to try and get yourself mentally back in the game?
Whatever it takes, you got to, focus down, buckle down, keep your head in the right space, make sure you hit your marks, just give it 100% and hope that things come your way. And maybe they will. We've seen it before where guys have been, it seems like, buried in the back and, just kept plugging away and have moved their way forwards. And we're kind of seeing a little bit of that from Patrick Bieri right now. And if he gets lucky with a full course yellow here in the next couple of laps, he could have a chance at all of a sudden a podium position.
Meanwhile, I'm hopping just a little bit further up. German Afandador is currently holding third, has Russell Clayson slowly pulling him in. They were about 2 seconds apart last time at the line, but it looks much closer than that. So whatever damage that Russell experienced definitely doesn't seem to have affected him too badly, because he's just been rifling off one car after another, Kevin.
Yeah, Russell's been really, really quick lately. Just catching up, it seems like everybody, and making his move on the way through. He's good under braking. This is a track where you really want to be a good braker, and he's having a good run there. As Steve Brown gets a little loose in Canada, almost puts it sideways. And Steve Brown is having a little bit of a tough luck run right now. I think he wanted to hang with Russell and maybe work together and move forward. But Russell clearly had other plans, as Russell is strongly in the draft of his teammate, and that position for podium, that podium position is up for the fight. We've seen them fight for the podium before.
Yeah, in fact, we've only got about 13 minutes left, so it's starting to come down to the wire, and it's time to make a decision on if you fight or not. I thought Russell was really going to close up this time by, but he's not as close as I thought he'd be. It was less than a second this time by, though. In fact, almost half a second between them. He really closed up into one this time. So now Russell is on the back of German Afandador. He's got a whiff of that draft going his way. And Kevin, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to really close up on the back down the Moraine sweep.
Renault Tani smoking badly.
So perhaps some engine problems with Ray Otani, or maybe he hit the wall somewhere around the way. Not exactly sure what happened with him. Let's hop back to Russell, though, who is still hunting down German Afandador. Not quite close enough, but once again, that Cannonball Clayson name comes in as he closes in under braking. Antti Tuominen was in it, but now he goes quite wide on the exit there, and that's going to allow Steve Brown to start to close up on the back of him. Meanwhile, I'm still looking at Russell and Antti, and Russell is now within at least 2 car lengths, so the threat is real, Kevin.
Yeah, just checking in on Ray Otani. I think he missed his downshift and grenaded his motor. So he's leaving a nice little smoke cloud for everybody to try and drive through. That's unfortunate for Reno.
We never like to see another driver exit this race. We always want to see people be able to make it to the end, which is getting closer and closer for these guys. Kimmo Suominen, just for your information, continues to lead by about 4 seconds. So Dan Rash has been closing in bit by bit, but it's not significant at this point. Once Dan gets into the draft, it could start to move a little bit faster towards Kimmo. But right now, the Finn seems to be fairly safe. Still on Russell and German and heading towards Canada corner. Russell isn't close enough to make a move. See if the braking can pull him within distance this time. In fact, he's about a car length back, maybe a car length and a half. So it's still on. He's just pulling it in bit by bit. Now, Kevin, with these two being teammates, I mean, we've seen before they kind of race each other a little safer than most people, it seems, which I have to wipe my brow if I was German with Cannonball behind me. But I mean, do you think team orders are in on this? Who's ahead actually in the points? German's ahead on points. Do you think Russell will let him hold on to it, or do you think Russell's thinking every race at a time?
Yeah, I think Russell is definitely kind of the every race at a time kind of guy, or at least that's what it seemed like in the past. We have seen these guys fight out for a position when we thought that they should probably just tuck in line and go. Russell definitely seems to be a little bit quicker than German right now. So, maybe if he stays behind German Afanador, he's going to open himself up to a counterattack from the cars behind him Antti Tuominen and Steve Brown. So I kind of have a suspicion that Russell's going to try and get that third place in front of German Afanador. But how accommodating will German Afanador be about that?
That's the question of the day. Let's hold on this battle. Just a quick note. Dan Rash closed up more than half a second a lap on Kimo last time by, so he is definitely making inroads on Kimo's lead. German Afanador holds on to that position this time. He's got an ST car ahead of him, though. Hopefully it looks like Matthew Reinhold, who I believe is... Oh, I'm sorry, that's Tom Eckline. Yes, he's going to let him by, but it looks like he's going to compromise. Actually, both of them coming through turn 6, so it's going to slow them down, but nobody really got a pick through there, and that allows Antti Tuominen to close up just a little bit, but nothing doing at this point as Russell has to wait for a better opportunity, it looks like.
And it looks like Steve Brown's going to try and make a move on Antti Tuominen as well. Getting held up a little bit. Steve Brown's on the outside. And he's not going to be able to make that pass happen. That may have been a little too optimistic, but that's what a little bit of traffic can do to you.
Well, it's towards the end, as we mentioned, so I think Steve Brown is trying to take every opportunity possible. He was 6th last time by the line, so this is for 5th and 6th between Antti in that blue and white car and Steve in that orange and brown car. So he's really got to make something happen. Obviously, he's not in the championship this time around, but I think that he's wanting to try and get as much as he can wherever he can. We haven't talked about ST in a while. What's going on in that battle between Arthur and Marcos, Richard?
Well, guys, during the chat you were having about the GS class, the lead had swapped about 3 or 4 times between Marco and Arthur. At the moment, Arthur is in 2nd place. Marco's leading, but the previous lap, Arthur was leading and Marco was 2nd. So these guys are definitely duking it out, as you would say, Joel. At this point in time, it seems to me that Arthur is just keeping a watching brief. He hasn't made a move on Marco, but Marco is not hanging around. Let me tell you, when they were side by side going down, particularly the Moraine sweep here, Marco would just put the car on the inside and keep going until he runs out of road. He doesn't care. So Arthur has been playing the cooler of the two, and of course losing out because of that. But now he closes right up again as they go into the infamous turn 5. Watch how Marco just plonks it in there, doesn't care about how he's going to get out of it, but miraculously manages to come out very well on each occasion. So we keep an eye on this one and whatever's happening in GS, because this is the battle for first position right here.
Yeah, and I was looking at the lap times last time by. Arthur Chan ran a 2:41.9, Stefan Overgaard a 2:40.9, so a whole second faster.
Joe, I'm going to jump in here. We just had changes between German Afanador and Russell Clayson and Antti Tuominen and Steve Brown. Both of those passes happening in turn 5.
So it looks like German has lost out on the podium position of Russell Clayson, who's working his way back up. And he could have that if he continues to keep the pace and minimizes his mistakes through the rest of the race. We've only got 7 minutes left, so we are towards the end here. Kimo Suominen, 3-second lead at the moment. Dan Rash still trying to hunt him down. 2:31.3 last time by for Dan, 2:31.6 for Kimo. So Dan is continuing to run faster laps. I think it might be too little too late. And in fact, Kimo is actually coming up onto the ST leaders at the moment. So I'm back with Arthur Chan. As I was saying, Arthur ran a whole second slower than Stefan Overgaard. If he's able to continue that, he could be able to start to run them down. And now we see Kimo getting slowed up by Arthur just a little bit, though, not a whole lot. Actually, more Arthur, I guess, getting slowed down by Kimo as he took the less than optimal line through that final corner. So, and actually, well, you know, Richard, I think this could be the end of that battle, possibly, because Arthur seems to have dropped a fair ways back.
I wouldn't say that. He's been catching him up again. But now we do have the GS class coming through. That's Dan Rassett just passed there as well. So it could be a problem for these guys. But But remember that Marco has the same problem as these guys passing. Depends on where it happens. As we see them going now, Dan Rash is coming up on Marco as we speak. So they're going down into the tight turn 3 there. And a very nice clean pass by Dan. Marco lets him pass, but it would have slowed Marco up. And therefore, Arthur Chan gets an opportunity now. I think he's still in the draft. Stefan Overgaard, meanwhile, I don't think he has enough. There can only be three laps or so left. I don't think he has enough time to catch these guys. Also, just a note that James Stevenson, who was doing quite well, must have had a moment because he fell back right off. Where was he? He was behind, I forget now, but the guy he was chasing, it was Tom Eckline. And he's not going to catch him. And in fact, William Randleman passed him.
And we've got a
yellow
caution.
flag.
So
caution flag is out.
Let's see if we can figure out what exactly happened there. I didn't see anything going on, but I think this could be the end of the race. I'm sorry, we got information.
Yeah, Jeff Jacobs, not entirely sure why yet. Big off in the approach to Canada. Oh, looks like he dropped a wheel under braking into Canada, trying to get around, I believe that's Stefan Overgaard, and put it into the wall. Excuse me, that was William Randleman. He was trying to get around, and no fault to Randleman's. Jacob just trying to slow his car down on the grass. Doesn't work out too well.
The realities of multi-class racing, unfortunately. And with only 4 minutes left, I think it's safe to say that we are not going to make it to the end of this thing under green. This car's going to pick them up at the end of this lap, and he's not going to be coming in the next time by. So this is pretty much it for Kimmo Suominen, who potentially has the win here, and also from Marco Mogren in ST class.
Well, actually, Joe, they had a rule a couple of seasons ago, at least, that if something like this happens, they would have a last lap dash or something. I'm not quite sure whether that rule might still apply, but certainly under normal circumstances, the race is over.
Yeah, I remember that. I believe it was Road Atlanta where we thought that it had gone yellow all the way to the end, and for some reason, for some quirk of the timing, that it allowed them one final lap dash, even though the time was out. So we'll have to figure out exactly what's going on here. We've got about 3 minutes left now at this point, and Kimmo is only just now coming up to the pace car at the moment. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. I don't think we're going to go to break because we're so close to the end here. Let's just run down the top 5 of each class real quick. Kimmo Suominen currently leads in the GS and overall. Dan Rash has second. Russell Clayson up into the final podium spot. German Fanador has 4th, and Steve Brown is in 5th. What are the top 5 in ST, Richard?
Well, Marco Mogren is leading the ST class. If everything pans out as we think it will, he will win this race, Joe. Arthur Chan, a great second place. A great race by Marco. I mean, they just kept going, and now we find them. They find themselves in 1st and 2nd. Stefan Overgaard started in 3rd place. A bit of damage, ups and downs, but he's back in 3rd place once again. So a podium spot for him. Jared Lawson at this point in time is in 4th place. So a great race by him as well to get that position. And William Randleman in 5th place with James Stevenson just outside that. Now, I'm not quite sure what happened to Tom Eckline and those guys because they were firmly ahead of James Stevenson at an earlier point. But looks like James will pick up 6th place, and that's about it. The rest of them are all laps down. In fact, a lot of them are laps down. They're not anybody on the same... No, I lie. The David Wammond is the last of ST on the same lap.
And we're getting some chatter over the radio that some guys might be out of fuel before this is over, even despite 3 cautions. So some guys might have cut it just a little too close. Well, hopefully they can make it to the end. It'd be such a shame to finish under yellow and not be able to make it. Kimmo Suominen is leading them around behind the pace car. It looks like it's going to be yellow rest of the way from what we're hearing from some of the drivers. And right now we've got about a minute left, and they're going to be at the checkered flag by the time they get there next time by. We'll keep you updated on that as the pace car leads them around. I have to say, guys, I'm a little disappointed that it ended under yellow after we had some fairly decent racing at the end there.
We had some great racing, Joe, in both classes. Certainly, it's always good to see the battle being on for the win, and that could have developed in GS as well, eh, Kevin?
Yeah, it was awfully close, especially with some slower lap down ST cars in front of Kimo Suominen. They were kind of holding Kimo up a little bit, and it may have been enough for Dan Rash to kind of catch up and maybe make something happen. But I guess we'll never know now, as the white flag is definitely out.
So this is it, final lap. Checkered flag is going to be flying next time by. Yeah, I was kind of watching that battle between Kimo and Dan, and it was about 2.5 seconds before the yellow came out. So it was definitely on between those guys. But thus is racing. Sometimes you have awesome finishes, as we do in the CESES, and sometimes you have a bit of a dud. That's just how it goes. They can't all be classics. So as they come to the around the last corner here, coming up to it at the moment, we're going to call the finish in a second and give you guys the final standings once they are all across the line. Actually, we'll probably give that once we come back from break. So Kimo comes down, and the pace car is leading them to the checkered flag at the moment. Up towards the start-finish line, Kimo Suominen takes yet another win ahead of Dan Rash in second, helping solidify his lead in this championship with now only 3 races to go. So Dan has a lot of work to do as they come across the line here and enter their places into the history books. Russell Clayson does take third, and German Fanador takes fourth. Steve Brown comes home in fifth. Meanwhile, in the ST class, Marco Mogren takes his first win in the CESES. Arthur Chan takes second for an excellent podium, and Stefan Oergaard completes the podium in third, with Jarrett Lawson in fourth and William Randleman in fifth. We're going to head to break here in a second. We're going to hopefully get you some interviews, talk to these drivers, their thoughts on this very interesting race that unfolded before us today. But in the meantime, we're going to see you on the other side. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with interviews. Welcome back to Road America. We have to apologize. We seem to have a bit of a mix-up going on course. The lights are out on the pace car, and it's continuing to lead them around. So we're trying to figure out exactly if we're going to get a green flag here. Drivers are giving opposing views on whether they want it to go green or to stay yellow here at the end. We still have the white flag, so the checkers is not waved quite yet. We've got one more lap around at the least. Not sure if it's going to go green and let them race a lap, or if it's going to go green and it's a race to the line, or what. Kevin, this is an unusual one. This is not unprecedented, but confusing none the least.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, Joe. This is exactly like that race at Road Atlanta we had a season or two ago, where we had no idea what was going on, and it sounds like the drivers aren't really sure either. So this is definitely something the series needs to kind of get figured out and sorted out, because this is not very sustainable for me. I think this is really puts the drivers in an awkward place, and the broadcasters in an even more awkward place.
You're telling me. We like to know what's going on around here, don't we, Richard?
Well, the easy fix for this, and we might suggest it to the league administrator, Joe, is you can have your 90-minute, but you can also estimate the number of laps. So you can say, all right, this is going to be a 32 lap race or 90 minutes. If you base it on laps, there is no problem.
Well, we're going to find out in a second exactly what's going on. They're coming up to the final corner once more. And I apologize again for that error of calling the race over before it was done. Hopefully things aren't actually miscalled here. We're going to see if the pace car peels off as he comes to the pit lane. What exactly is he going to do? He does, in fact, peel off. So maybe we're going to get a last lap shootout here, guys. Holding on to wait to see if they get a green. Kimmo Suominen is going to lead them away.
And it looks like they're just holding their positions, and they're just going to finish it out right here.
Okay.
So it looks
green
like they're
flag
going to do...
actually flew, guys. The green flag flew, but obviously the checkered flag flew as well.
So they did the gentlemanly thing. It looks like as actually they're accelerating now, but as you said, it is over. So one more time, as it's now official or semi-official, Kimmo Suominen took the win, and GS class Dan Rash took second.
These guys look like they're racing.
Yeah.
They can't be racing. This is crazy stuff. They are going flat out, guys.
So maybe this isn't over.
Can somebody tell me what's going on?
I'd like to know that as well. We apologize, folks, for this unusual situation.
They are racing. No doubt about it now.
Dan Rash has overtaken Kimmo Suominen at the moment, so it seems like this is a lap last dash, and they're side by side coming into 5. This is for the overall lead. They're getting close, but it looks like Dan Rash has got it for the moment, Kevin.
You know, I'm just hearing from the ST field. It sounds like the ST field did not get a checkered flag, so it sounds like there's confusion all over the place. Some GS drivers apparently think they are not racing. Some think they are racing. Some ST drivers think they're not racing. I don't know what's going on either.
Well, I can tell you guys for a moment here, Marco lost it going down Moraine's sweep. And Arthur Chan, if this race is still on, Arthur Chan is now currently your race leader. And Stefan Overgaard in second place. With Marco away down. So I don't know what's going on, guys.
Well, our director is saying that they're just having fun and that it's over at the moment, but I thought I heard the marshal saying have fun. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I guess we'll find out in a minute. We'll have to maybe get the marshal in here and ask him what in the world is happening.
Yeah, that's the only way we're going to find out, because these guys, it's confusing for everyone. So they're congratulating Kimmo at the moment, but at the same time, the guys are still racing. And I suppose, you know, if I'm Dan Rash, that's what you do. You don't, you play to the whistle. And in this case, the whistle, the final whistle had not blown yet by the looks of things, or I don't know.
Yeah, and Dan Rash is actually still leading Kimmo as they come to the final corner here. As long as he gets a decent exit, I mean, if this is the actual official end, this could be a win for Dan, helping him in the championship. But no, Kimmo actually pulls off and heads into the pit lane. So Kimmo seems to think it's over. So does German Afanador. A number of guys are continuing around. Actually, not everybody. It looks like only Russell Clayson is continuing on by. So a few guys have headed into the pits.
Well, I want to see what Arthur does. Arthur is racing like his life depends on it at the moment.
There's been a lot of chatter going on, and they're usually not allowed to talk under green like this, so I would suspect that maybe
Arthur
it's
comes
over.
Into the pits.
So, okay, it seems for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, and I have no official word on this, that the ending came when the pace car pulled off. So that seems to be our official final lap. We'll try and get maybe Wes in here and see if we can get some official word or something from the league organizer. We're going to go to break now again and try and get things consolidated to get you official word on what's real out here. In the meantime, we're going to see you on the other side after the break. Welcome back to Road America, and that was certainly an interesting finish to say the least. We were a bit confused, but we do have the official results now, and it looks like Marco Mogren is the winner in our ST class, and we have him with us. Marco, congratulations on your maiden win in the CESCS. It looked a little uncertain there with your battle with Arthur, but you managed to hold out.
Yeah, I messed up with crashing out almost, touching the wall, but it worked out in the end.
Was the car pretty difficult to control? Because we saw a number of top guys seem to lose it without really anybody else around, and it seemed like the MX-5 was a bit of a handful today.
Yeah, a bit, but I think I got a pretty good setup for the car, so it was pretty predictable most of the time.
Well, it seems like this win was a long time coming because you've had the speed. Are you anticipating more wins farther down the line, or do you think James and the like are going to be a little too much, and you need another chaotic race like this?
Yeah, I don't have the speed of James or yeah, the name slips my mind. The pole sitter who had terrible luck this race. But yeah, I don't think I will have a win in me on pure speed if the track don't suit me. And to be honest, I didn't expect much from Road America. I haven't even practiced for it, so.
Well, still, congratulations on your win, and thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks.
We also have Arthur Chan, waiting in the wings, and he took an excellent second place in ST. Richard, would you like to talk to Arthur?
Love to. Arthur, a pretty chaotic race, but I was watching you from the very beginning of the race, and I always kind of thought you had an opportunity at a podium spot here. Did you think that as well, or were you just running, hoping for the best here?
I certainly wasn't expecting a podium. I was always hoping for the best. I think I generally finish better than I qualify. So definitely very, very happy with the results. A little bit disappointed that I didn't go a little bit harder for the win. I was basically trying to play conservative. I was waiting for the time to run out so I could have a go at Marco near the end. At the same time, I was keeping a close eye on Stefan and didn't want to fall back and have him join us. So that's kind of the reason why I backed out of a couple of moves, but didn't really work out in the end.
Yeah, I saw that sort of around the 3, 4, 5 laps from the end, the lead was swapping between yourself and Marco at least 2 or 3 times, and I saw you backing out of moves, particularly at the end of the Marine sweep there. You were just waiting for that moment when you were going to make a final move, or did you think that with Marco charging that hard that you might come to grief if you tried something?
Well, because the draft is such a big factor on this track, I was really spending all those laps really studying Marco and comparing the way that we drive. It was clear that he was a little bit quicker than myself in the first half, and I was able to gain a fair amount of time on him in the second half of the lap. So I was basically trying to plan my moves for the final 2 laps. The plan was to go aggressive and try and get alongside him into Canada corner and hopefully take it to the finish. So maybe next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, second place is a fantastic finish. I just want to ask one last question. There was a lot of chaos here today in both classes, but particularly in ST. What is it? Is it the new tire model? Is it this track? What do you think it was that caused all this chaos, Arthur?
I'm wondering that myself. I tend to drive a fairly conservative setup with a pretty big sweet spot, especially during the race, so I didn't have too many problems. But the new tire model, people are definitely having to change their driving style a bit to suit it, and possibly changing wind conditions. It seemed like during the practice there was a fair amount of variance lap after lap, so I think possibly changing conditions are catching people out if we're used to driving in just completely fixed conditions and driving right on the limit.
Okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up because I was trying to figure it out and there was no good explanation. Arthur, congratulations once again on a good second place. They all count. There's no doubt about it. So thanks for talking to us.
Thanks very much, Richard. See you next time.
Well, we've also got the final person of the podium in the ST class with us, Stefan Overgaard. Stefan, you had a very hard hit with your teammate there early on in the race, so I would have thought that the front of your car was very damaged, but you managed to work your way back up. Was your car damaged, and if so, how in the world did you manage to make so much progress?
No, actually, that hit didn't make any damage. I think that was because James blinked out just before I hit him, so the iRacing didn't give me any damage.
Ah, so that's interesting. We saw that you had headed into what looked like get some repair, so we figured maybe you had taken a pretty decent hit on that. Are you pretty pleased with third place after what seemed like a very unpredictable race?
It's a bit pity because I was looking to get actually the win because I was feeling really good here. Also, my pit strategy was actually to go into just tip off the fuel and then to make a shorter pit stop the second time, and that actually worked. Then I had a clash with Lloyd's just after the second caution.
All right. Well, next course is Kansas Speedway, and I know a lot of people don't like that. Are you looking forward to that, or what are your expectations in 2 weeks' time?
I haven't turned a lap there yet, so don't really know what to expect. But new tracks, it's going to be fun to try.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. Well, we have one more interview if he'll come and talk to us here. We've got Dan Rash, the second place finisher in the GS class waiting, and I believe Kevin is going to speak to him if we can get Dan unmuted here.
Hey, Dan. So that was a good second place, and for once, it seems like it was a relatively uneventful race for you.
Seems like we might have some problems with Dan here. We'll try and see if we can get him to talk in a little bit. But while we wait for him, I want to get a couple of you guys' thoughts. Richard, I mean, what did you think of this race? It's probably hard to get a pin on.
Joe, I just want to correct you there. I was hearing Dan just fine.
Oh, I apologize.
Are you there? I think maybe you've got the problem. Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys loud and clear.
Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
So, Dan, you were telling us about your fuel calculations. Please continue.
Yes, so I was hoping that I was going to have a pretty solid chance at the win because my fuel calculation showed that when I pit, I should have just enough fuel to make it to the finish, whereas Chemo pit 1 lap earlier. So I had my fingers crossed behind my back the last part of the race that he was going to run out of fuel. And in the final laps, I was catching up to him a couple tenths every lap, and I don't know if it was because his tires were wearing out or if it was because he was saving fuel. But it was getting pretty exciting until the yellow came out. That kind of ruined it, but oh well, that's racing.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. It seemed like Kimmo kept having kind of a little bit of bad luck with lap traffic towards the end, and you seemed to keep catching the lap cars at the right spot. If the race had gone green, do you think you were close enough to maybe be able to have a chance there?
At the rate that I was gaining on Chemo, if that kept up, it would have been neck and neck.
And finally, tell us from your point of view what happened there at the end, because it seems like everybody had a different view.
Do you mean as far as how the race finished or how the yellow came out?
How the race finished.
Yeah, the white flag came out and the timer ran out before the final pace lap even came. So if everything ran properly, we should have finished under yellow. However, coming back to the start-finish line, it was still a white flag being shown. And so no checkered flag as we were getting really close to the line. So, of course, I had the throttle ready to go. And then right as we crossed the start-finish, we got a checkered flag. At least I saw one. But it sounds like the ST field saw a green flag. So I'll have to watch your guys' broadcast. I could imagine a couple of them might have run into each other from that.
Well, I don't think we caught anybody running into each other, but definitely from the broadcast point of view, we certainly had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, we've been in one race like that before, and I remember it got pretty tight.
All right, well, congratulations on your second position there, Dan. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
I have to apologize for interrupting Dan there. That was on my end. Actually, I had some technical problems, but we got it sorted out now. Real quick, we're going to run through the field for you. Kimmo Suominen once again is our overall winner. Second is Dan Rash in GS. Russell Clayson took third. Gerben Afanador finished in fourth. Fifth is Steve Brown. Antti Tuominen came home in sixth. Patrick Bieri is seventh. Alexis Molina is eighth. Nicholas Bailey ninth. And James Brown in 10th. What's the rest of it look like, Kevin?
In 11th position was Ray Preto. 12th was Todd Hansrenko. And then we got into the ST field.
And Marco Mogren is the winner of the very chaotic ST race. Arthur Chan came in second. Stefan Overgaard in third place. We heard from Stefan that he fancied his chances in this race, but he ended up in third. Jarrett Lawson, a very good fourth. David Whamman, possibly one of his higher finishes, in fifth place. And William Randleman in sixth. James Stevenson in seventh. And Matthew Reinl in eighth place. And then we get into the lapped cars. Joe?
So that, I'm sorry, the lapped cars. We have Philip Carpenter behind him in ninth. Tom Eckline in 10th. Ed Verras finished 11th. Stefan Maurienne took home 12th. I guess he ran into some trouble. He was 9 laps down. Josh Leutz finished 13th. Thomas Torp was 14th. Corey Fergus was 15th, and 16th was Wes Eric with Carl Williamson, a did not start. Well, now that I know that I'm not interrupting anybody, Richard, what are your thoughts on this race?
Well, I thought it was very chaotic, particularly on the ST side, and the finish was a guesswork more than anything else. So perhaps there's a little bit of work for the organizers to do to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. But still, a very good race. Lots of battles that we saw. Too much crashing, and I don't exactly know what that is. We asked the leaders what the problem might be. They didn't know. So we'll just have to put a tick to this one and say, glad it's done, Joe.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kevin, I understand you have a rather muted opinion on this one.
Well, it was a good race for the most part. A lot of fun to watch the GS field mix it up. Some good action there, a little bit unpredictable. I was glad to see Kimo Suominen and Dan Rash both had pretty much for the clean races. But yeah, I'm definitely in agreement that there needs to be some work to figure out how to end these races properly, because that was just kind of an unfortunate ending when everything changes at the last moment and drivers have no idea what's going on as they're trying to finish a race. I have a problem with that.
Understandably so. We're going to wrap up today now, finally, for sure, and we don't have to worry about any extra laps here in our broadcast. We want to thank our sponsor, Safecraft Racing, for bringing us this series. They do a lot to not only to help support this series, but to keep drivers safe in real life. They make real life safety gear in motorsports, such as harnesses and helmets. So if you are interested in motor racing, we definitely recommend you check them out and keep your noggin on its shoulders. We also want to thank the organizer, Wes Eric, for doing all he does to put this thing together. Thanks to our software and hardware that we use, iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, and Audio Technica, as well as AverMedia. Also, thank you to the team, Giancarlo, Kevin, Richard, obviously all putting in a lot of hard work. If you'd like to find out more about the Global Sim Racing channel, you can find out at our website at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Thank you to Eric Ekholm. He provided us with a lot of music here on GSRC, and you can find it also on TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, you can tell him where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Also, thank you to Casey Lalonde. He provides us with music for our highlight videos. You can find more about Casey at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Definitely recommend checking out his music. I have a number of his albums personally. Our next race is Kansas Speedway, as I mentioned. That is going to be November 23rd, first time this series has headed there, so it's a lot of unknowns. That'll start at 6 p.m. Eastern on that Saturday. Our next broadcast, however, is a week from now. That'll be the Blondies MX-5 World Tour, and that'll be at Silverstone, running on the national circuit, kicking off 16th of November at 1 p.m. Eastern. Definitely check that out. Those races are a hell of a run. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.